Okay, here we are. Good morning. It's Wednesday, August 24th, 2016. We're here for a Marion County Board of Commissioners meeting at Courthouse Square, 555 Court Street Northeast. If you will join us, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not to mention the senator hearing room.
Oh, yes, but that's not on my script. We're in the Senate hearing room at 555 Court Street Northeast. One of these days, I might get all the details as to opening our board session. I don't believe, do we have anybody signed up for a public comment? I saw David here, but he's not signed up. Okay. So we'd like to welcome for our presentation this morning, Allison McKenzie from GROW EDC. Allison, welcome. You want to come up and give your presentation to us?
Sure. Would you like me here or wrong?
Yeah, unless you have slides, we can just go right over here to the right. To your left, our right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's wonderful to be here with all of you. It looks like some of you have been enjoying our many wonderful tourism assets that we have in the North Santiam area. All the beautiful tans and everybody. I'm here to do the fourth quarter report for GROW. And I was here toward the end of June, but there are some things that we were working on in the last quarter that I didn't get a chance to talk with you about in a little more depth. And our primary focus for the final quarter of the fiscal year was to work on the tourism initiative that began with the Travel Oregon workshops that we held at the end of March and in April. We had 89 people who attended those workshops. The last one that was in April, we had 74 people attending. And out of that came 3 different tourism initiatives based on our feedback that we got from Travel Oregon. And the reason that we're working on a tourism initiative, as you know, is it's one of the 3 largest industries in the state of Oregon. We have lots of natural outdoor recreation assets to work with. And we also have a lot of clients who work in the hospitality, services, and retail wholesale industries. Those are our top 3 industries of clients we serve. So we have a lot of folks who want to benefit from all of the travelers that move along Highway 22 every year. According to ODOT, that's about 1.7, 1.8 million cars a year. It's a lot of people who are coming by. So we're wanting to create an atmosphere where we can provide authentic experiences for travelers, we can become a destination in our own right, and can see tourism create in a greater way to the overall economy of the North Santiam River region. So because we had such high participation, Travel Oregon suggested that we launch 3 different projects instead of just the one we were expecting. So through a group discussion in the last tourism workshop, 3 rose to the surface, and these are the 3 that were chosen. One is to create a regional tourism marketing strategy that will help attract visitors to the area. The second one is building a local tourism network that will create and strengthen relationships between those who are working in or interested in the hospitality and outdoor recreation area. And then the third is to create an annual river festival that will celebrate the North Santiam River region as a connecting link between all of the communities and be a fusion of celebration in the waters and on the land. So right now we have those three groups working. About 30 people are on those committees. So about a third of the people who came to the workshops have decided to be actively involved in planning some of these things moving forward. We have some really important partners in this. We have the Chambers, Del Raba, Travel Salem is really key to us on 2 of our committees. This isn't something they can lead, but we can leverage their participation and really get their expertise there. Not everybody understands how important they are in terms of marketing. We've had people say we'd love to do our own website and we'd love to market our own area on our own, but unless you have marketing horsepower behind something like that, it doesn't go very far. And Salem is our destination marketing organization for our area, and people are beginning to understand how important it is for us to funnel information to them so it can be funneled further up the food chain through Travel Oregon and reach out to visitors who want to come to our area. So the tourism marketing strategy group right now is mostly collecting data making sure that we have all the businesses are accurate that are collected with tourism, all of the park assets are correct, we've got trails and things along that line. And that group right now is working on gathering that information to populate Travel Salem's new website, and Travel Oregon is ready to populate their website with that information as soon as that committee is done. Our committees met in June, was the last time they met, and then we're taking a hiatus for a couple of months. People are just way too busy in the tourism industry right now. It's our high season, so we'll be back again in September. The second group is building a local tourism network, and we think this is especially important because we really focus a lot on collaboration in our work. We have lots of individual communities and individual businesses involved in tourism, but they're not connected very well together. So one of the things that we noticed in these tourism workshops is that a lot of people there were saying things like, well, I didn't know we had Elkhorn Golf Course, or I didn't know about Rushing River Inn in Idana, or I didn't know about Moxie Berry Restaurant in State, and I've never been on the Covered Bridges tour in Scioto, those kinds of things. So what this group opted to do right away, before the tourism season really kicked off, was to host 3 field trips to the area. So anybody who wanted to come, who is involved in these workshops or interested in tourism in the area, could come and do these field trips. So we did 3 of them. One was in the Detroit, Idana area. The second one was in Gates Mill City, the Elkhorn area, and Lyons. And then the third one was Scioto, Almsville, Staten, and Sublimity. And we had about 21 people. We had networking lunches that were part of that. We had about 21 people at each lunch. Usually 15 to 18 participated in the tours. Every single tour we had, people said they learned something new that they never knew before. And part of this is so that these people that are attending and are in our area can speak with more authority about the assets we have, but it's also to help to start create connections between businesses and to encourage local people to do things locally. So the best way to start building out a tourism economy in a rural area is to have friends and family who are visiting come and do things in the area. So instead of saying, well, let's go to the gorge or let's go to the coast, maybe we'll go up and go swimming in Detroit, or we might go kayaking on the lake, or we might go golfing at Elkhorns, those kinds of things. And that's what's already been happening. We've had many people on these tours report back that they've gone to Paluso Winery that many people didn't know about. In fact, I think we've had more people going to Paluso than almost anywhere else. One person said they hadn't been to Papa Al's in 35 years. But because of this tourism initiative, they went there. There are new owners at Papa Al's, and there were 21 people in Papa Al's for lunch one day. So people are coming back and starting to visit these places either that they haven't seen for a long time or that they had never seen before. Almsville Ponds was a big surprise for people, and I hadn't seen it either until this year. I thought it was a gold gravel pit, which sounded like a gravel pit to me. It's beautiful. People were just enamored with that. And the park right along the river in Staten was a real surprise also. Many people weren't aware that existed. So some of this is part of this local tourism network action team, is to help people get familiar with what's here and then linking people together. So those are the first things that group did. We had 42 different individuals on those trips, which is almost half of the participants from the workshops. And then the third group is working on a river festival. Right now it's called River Fusion 22, and it's set to kick off the weekend of the eclipse next year, which is August 21st, Monday, August 21st. So it will be kicking off that weekend. And then it will likely move to sometime in September as the lake draws down, the river is higher, and it's easier to do whitewater events and things like that. And it will be built around a new whitewater event that started in September of 2015 with e-energy kayaking. So those are the main things that we've been working on in tourism right now. It's been quite busy. I've been really impressed with the level of commitment, even during such a busy time. We are going to ask Travel Oregon for some additional time with our tourism coach. Because of the timing of our workshops, we were finishing our workshops right at the beginning of the season, and we were going to really need a little more help in the off-season to get some of these things up and going. Any questions about that before I mention a couple of other things that we've been up to in the last quarter?
No.
Okay. And then two other things that I wanted to make sure we mentioned is that we've been looking at ways to do a community-based lending program. And we're talking with Micro Enterprise Services of Oregon and Community Lending Works And right now, it looks like we're leaning toward doing a workshop in the fall, probably October, November, so we have time to publicize it, to help people who cannot access traditional avenues for capital, may not be able to get loans through banks and traditional sources, and may not have family lending as an option, which we've had a number of people use, have access to a wide range of funding. And our hope is that we'll be able to set up this workshop and then set up appointments for people afterwards with the people who are going to be presenting, so that they can at least begin starting with that. And we did talk with John Safstrom at COG to see what other options might be available, whether we want to recapitalize an old micro lending, old lending program, that kind of thing, revolving loan fund. We right now we're thinking, this might change, but we're thinking we'd like to leverage the expertise of people who are already great at lending rather than being a lending organization ourselves. But I'm not sure how that will look going forward. But we're very excited about these two particular organizations. They're very good at working with people. Some of their loans are as small as $200 or $300. $1,000 or $2,500 can make a huge difference for a number of the people we work with, and that's important. We're excited about that piece of it. And the third thing that I wanted to make sure I mentioned is the Almsville reading program that is run by the genius of Laura Hoffman, who's a staff person in Almsville, and the park board, and numerous volunteers and collaborators. They have private collaborators, they have public collaborators. The school is a very important partner in this. It's been a year-round program because of a United Way grant, and we're the fiscal sponsor for that grant. We also provide a lot of back-end support that's behind the scenes. And I think some of you have had a chance to go watch this program in action. It's very well organized. Kids love the food that's being provided by Fresh and Local. That's a new food provider, and that actually came out of my involvement on the Economic Development Advisory Board when I met Evan. And we realized that might be a really good partnership. And the kids, to seeing a little kid reading a book and eating a plum is wonderful. It's just wonderful. So this program is getting a lot of attention, deservedly so. Kids are reading a lot of books during the summer, and parents are getting involved in this as well. And they're being acknowledged tomorrow at the United Way lunch between 12 and 1 at the Convention Center. And I asked Arturo Vargas if I could mention it, and he said yes, and please tell them to come. So come, we'd love to have you be part of that. And you'll get to see the video, bring your hankies, because it's just lovely.
We have 2 tables at the luncheon already from Marion County.
See, I love it.
And the video is really good because I'm featured in it.
Well, I've heard that. Yeah,
I saw your picture on Facebook.
Well, this is your old stomping grounds from other parts of your political life. I love that you're able to be part of it.
I do have a question. You have underneath that area on your objective youth engagement workforce, I think that's what you're referring to, the Almsville Elementary, to see if it might be appropriate alternative to the more intense and lengthy Essential Skills Insight program. What is that?
Oh, the workforce engagement initiative has been put on hold. The Almsville program we consider separate from that, even though it is part of youth engagement. But what we're wanting to do is partner with, create partnerships between businesses and the schools to help with things like training people to be on time and the value of work ethic and why you don't wear pajama bottoms to work and that kind of thing. And Insight has a wonderful, very lengthy curriculum that's quite involved. It's about 14 weeks. It's pretty intensive, and I haven't spoken with them recently. Frankly, the last quarter we were focused only on tourism. So I don't know if that is the one that we'll use, or there's an Almsville program that they did in the after-school parenting program that might be a good fit, that might not be quite as labor-intensive as what Insight offers. But this is really something where the schools are the drivers of that initiative. In fact, later today I'm meeting with OSU Extension to talk about something they're doing too, and seeing how we might be able to weave that in up there. And the reason that we think this is important is that we want our young people to feel like they have opportunities in our area. We want them to get the help they need to be successful in their future lives. And those skills are not always something their parents have time to provide or can provide. So having a little more support helps us economically down the road.
Okay. Another question I have, just to make you aware, We had a conference call yesterday with the marina owners, the two owners, and then the Sportsman's, which is a co-op, I think, or however they're organized. And they're working on their permits for having those marinas dredged for low water resiliency years like this year. And with Army Corps and Congressman Schrader's office, and what's going to happen once those permits, even if they we're not sure if they need the permits yet based on the conversation with Army Corps yesterday, but once that's decided, the cost to be able to do this is going to be something that is going to be, we're going to have to figure out how we can find grants, monies to help get some of this work done. So anything you can think of up there in the canyon that may help with those projects would be important with your connections up there and helping them work through that.
I'm really pleased to hear that. I know that's an outgrowth of the meeting that you held up there. With 160 people, I think, were all stuffed into the Gates Fire Hall to talk about what the Army Corps of Engineers was doing. And my takeaway from that was that dredging might be a really viable option, and that redoing a study might not be the best way for to deal with water issues, that it may not actually turn out in our favor. So I know that it's very busy up in Detroit. I haven't been up there in the last couple of days since I've been back, but my husband just came by and he said there were so many boats on the lake. He was surprised they weren't running into each other, that people were really enjoying it.
All the boats are out of all three marinas. There may be a few boats left, but it's 3 weeks short of the end of their season. But anyways, just if you in your contacts, if you have ways to, when the funding issues come up, if you have ways to help with that, that's something to, with your organization up there in the contacts, to think about how we can help them out, because it's going to be an expense that I'm not sure they're going to be able to put on their backs.
Do you know do you have any idea what the number's going to be?
No,
at this
we
point?
don't.
Okay.
Right.
We'll
And then the
hope
other thing they're looking for is a place to put the dirt that they're going to pull out. The dirt will actually come out of the lake and have to be set someplace. So they're looking for that. I was in contact yesterday with Ferris Lumber to see if they had some property or needed it for roads. And so that's another area that if you've got some connections up there, if you think of something that might help with the marinas.
I do have something, and I'll mention it to you.
Okay, great.
Well, my comments aren't that serious after Kevin, but one, I have participated and went this year for Laura's program in Onsville, and I'm very excited to see that it should make a real difference. And I'm wanting to check scores and see if what I am assume that this interest in reading, especially in youth reading, should translate into some better futures for people. Then on the more fun stuff, well, you made me think of it. You know, I drive from Sublimity to Salem every day, and I think that has to be about the prettiest commute of anybody in the whole country. I'm serious, and people don't recognize it. When you bust over Correction Hill, look down at Salem, or go the other way and see clear up to Jefferson, it's special. This morning I dropped my daughter off to get her car fixed in Sublimity, and coming down from Sublimity Boulevard and looking, I mean, I told her, look at that could be a painting, just grass fields to forest to hills to Mount Jefferson, sun behind it, little fog. I'm real artistic this morning.
I love it.
The only thing I thought of, if we could have just taken those power lines out when we did that interchange, but anyway. But there is one that if you want to tell people something to see, drive from Sublimity to Silverton at sunset, have dinner in Silverton, Mont Angel, but that's the prettiest. Right
Sublimity
over the top on Cascade
Sunset.
Highway.
Okay.
Serious. So now you know.
Thank you. The Silver Falls State Park is part of this, so that's perfect.
No, you're a little short of it, but same idea.
That's where my wife is this week, camping with the kids.
Well, I just have one thing. It's kind of philosophical, theoretical. Recognizing that, number one, your business consulting is like a big focus for you, right? And you had 85 clients or whatever in the second quarter. Number two is this tourism is probably all-consuming on top of that, right? But but just my philosophical question. So we had 45th high school reunion this last weekend. up in Astoria. I didn't graduate from Astoria High School. I graduated from McNary, but I was in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 3 9-week periods of junior year in Astoria, so they let me come back to the reunion. So I'm back there, and we're going around looking at it, and I mean, Astoria is really a lovely community now. They've got all of, they got this little train that goes by, they've got all this stuff on the piers, they've got the kind of the downtown is real artsy kind of looking and everything. And as I'm meeting with all these people that I haven't seen, some of them since high school, I'm remembering that their parents worked in the Bumblebee Cannery, which is gone, and the plywood mill, which was where we were there was an empty big lot, and that's where the plywood, in fact, we put our float together for the regatta parade, and they said it's where the plywood mill used to be. So went down, great big empty parking lot. So those jobs were jobs that sustained people in Astoria, and now there's tourism jobs that have replaced those jobs, which are not nearly as family wage as the old jobs were. So as we move tourism into the canyon, and I'm looking at your number 4, applying value chain methodology to the natural resources industry, where does the natural resources industry fit? Is there still hope for things that can happen in the canyon? I know that SEDCOR's mentioned, so just tell me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I do want to address the jobs in tourism, that if you're a person you're working in a big hotel and you are the housekeeper, you're not making much money. In our area, most of the people who are involved in tourism are people who are creating businesses for themselves. So they are creating their own, they're replacing a job, they're creating a new job for themselves. So economically, it's a little bit different than you would find, say, in a big hotel in Portland, something along that line. So they tend to be a little bit more robust than you're thinking. On the natural resources part of it, and this is, you can see that we were on hold for this last quarter. I know Chad and I just spoke for half a minute, that I know that they're involved in a group now for the value-added wood products piece. And in Oregon, our top 3 industries are agriculture, then it's wood products, and then it's tourism. So wood products, I think, will always be important for us. The question is there a role for us to play, and do we have room to play a role in any value-added wood products? And what is the demand for those? And I don't know the answer to that. I think SEDCOR is the appropriate lead dog in that conversation. But I think that we also have a lot of connections with people who can support those businesses or work in those businesses. It's important historically, but economically, our 2 largest private employers are Ferris and Frank Lumber Company. And that I don't think will, hopefully the families don't want to retire. It's really important for us. And also, well, I would need to ask SEDCOR more about wood, but building with wood is popular. It's important again in ways that it wasn't for a while. I'm hoping that will be helpful too. But I don't know the answer to that. And the other thing about working with people individually and in groups, we're doing more in groups, and I'm expecting that to continue for a period of time. I think I worked with 55 people individually, 55 clients individually in the 4th quarter, but we had, I think, 87 clients that we work with overall. That doesn't include people who came to the tourism workshops. We're having people who are coming to other types of events to work with us, and I'm guessing that will be more common. We don't have a lot of new entrepreneurs coming up behind us, but I think we'll be doing more work with people who already have existing businesses who need some help. Okay. And I hope they call us. It's free, it's confidential. The people who work individually with us do a lot better than the people who just try to go it alone, and we like to help them when we can.
I think part of your great question, because on our most recent tour with Congressman Schrader up there at Ferris, he actually was talking about this new laminate beam technology that OSU has worked on, and Roseburg Forest Products is producing it now down in there, and they're looking at what it would take in an investment it's a big investment to make it happen, but it's stronger than steel, I guess, from what they're saying, and taking a look at it, that might be the type of expansion that we could see in the canyon. That's going on. You got some information on that, Sam?
No, it's a little bit different. I was in a future subject and consent. We pass out state forestry timberlands money. It's my thought that it's about 10% of what it was historically. and we get $116,000, but the schools, Sandiam School District gets 69, so figure that it used to be at least $500,000. Those all hurt and matter in a local economy and what you have available for livability issues too. I wish I'd taken the time to really compare it, but that I would say it's about 10% of what it used.
And even with that, the school's doing really well under the leadership of Todd Miller, new superintendent.
Oh yes,
it's very impressive the things that they're able to accomplish in the village campus that they've got in Mill City. And these are things that we're tangentially connected to, or we hear about. But Staten is working very hard on their Main Street program. They have a little parklet downtown. If you haven't had a chance to see that, I think, and that is a really good group of people getting lots of things done. I think you'll see some changes there. Mill City has been doing many things to improve their landscape, in part thanks to the grant that they got for facade improvements. And I've known one of the new owners of Papa Al's. One of the first things they did was enclose their garbage cans because they didn't want people driving by and seeing the garbage cans. So then they hear from their neighbor, well, that makes us look bad. Maybe we should be enclosing our garbage cans. Or you guys just repainted. Now we look like the ugly dog on the street. So sometimes that kind of thing is just as important as one entrepreneur does something with their building and their infrastructure. Somebody else does it too, because the whole community starts to change, and there are pockets of those things happening all over. There's some development going on in Almsville that you're aware of that will make a big difference to Almsville as well. So we're hoping that as we work on all these things together, we'll see maybe not the transformation to Astoria in such a short period of time, but something like that.
And the subway in Mill City that took over one of those ugly gas stations is going to open. If it hasn't opened, it's going to open any day now, I think. And
soon.
Watch the progress. It's looking a lot better. So just little things like that that are happening. John?
May I ask a question, Mr. Chair?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Shouldn't we find out what it's about?
You have to run your questions by us in advance.
One of the things that we're working on here in Salem is, and the new urban development director is really pushing this hard, is high-speed broadband. Mm-hmm. Would that help the canyon and development up there to get high-speed broadband up there?
Well, I think so. For two reasons. One, it helps businesses, and it will certainly help travelers coming through. But there are also a lot of young people, millennials, who want to live in places like ours, but they have to be able to do their work there.
Right.
And there are multiple providers in our area, as you know. When you have a windstorm things go up and down, depending upon how the internet services provided. There are some people still on dial-up. Especially up in Idana, and some places it's quite expensive to be on internet. So, but that is me saying that, and what I hear anecdotally. But I know that you've been working on a broadband initiative in general for the county, or discussing some of those opportunities, and I think that would be really helpful for our area. It's just really hard to be competitive if you can't get your sales through quickly, and people are kind of drumming their fingers trying to get out of your store. Doing your banking online, that kind of thing. But the real impact may be retirees coming and younger people moving up to the area for the lifestyle, in addition to the business possibility.
Okay, good. Anything else? Allison, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's good to see you. Okay. We are ready for a consent calendar.
Chair Cameron. I'll make a right, wrong? Huh?
It's my turn.
Oh, wonder what? It's short. I
Yeah,
figured
it
it
is.
had to be mine.
Nope, it's mine. Mr. Chair, I'll move today's consent calendar. Under Health, approve amendment number 8 to the intergovernmental agreement with Oregon Health Authority to add $2,585,967 in funding for public health services. Approve a contract with Nathaniel Kravitz LLC in the amount of $280,000 for psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner services through July 31st, 2019. And under the Treasurer's Office, approve an order distributing Oregon State Forestry timber revenue as per ORS Chapter 530.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay. And our one action item, Camber is here to consider approval of an ordinance amending the Marion County Public Contracting Rules in Marion County Code, Chapter 3.25. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Camber Schlag. I'm the Contracts and Procurement Manager for Finance. And do we need to enter as the Contract Review Board?
I have it under finance,
Okay.
but
This is the Board of Commissioners ordinance, and so it's the Board of Commissioners who's amending the ordinance.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I am before you this morning to provide you an overview of the public contracting rules revisions that we will be making or requesting approval for. Throughout the document, there's several grammatical corrections that I won't be going over today. I'll just be hitting the highlights. And before you, Mr. Latimer passed out a revised summary sheet and also the changes to one of the exemptions to the rule based on our management update meeting we had this past Monday. So the first major change that will be throughout the document is that the Minority Women Emerging Small Business, commonly known as MWESB, has been revised to be the Certification Office of Business Inclusion and Diversity, also known as COBID. This went into effect in the 2015 legislative session and became effective January 1st, 2016. The addition to the COBID is the services for disabled veterans. So not only can you procure with disadvantaged business enterprises, minority business, women business, and emerging small business, but also service disabled veterans. So throughout the document, those revisions have been made from MWESB to COBID. The second item is under delegation of authority, which is section 10-0170. And what this does is this allows the Chief Administrative Officer to resolve discrepancies and mistakes on procurements of all level. And under an addition, the county contracts officer may waive or permit an offer to correct a minor informality on procurements. And the next item is section 20-0430. And this is additional language which reflects Oregon Administrative Rule 137047030. And that additional language is the county shall notify prospective offers of addenda in a manner intended to foster competition to make prospective offers aware of the addenda. And basically what that means is that we would be adding into our solicitation documents that addenda will be posted on ORPN or the Marion County website, that the solicitation document will direct where that addenda will be posted. The next item is a new exemption. It's two new exemptions actually under 50-0010. The first one is acquisition or disposal of real property or interest in real property per Oregon Revised Statute 279A.0252F. And this allows the county to enter into leases without a competitive process. The other addition to this section is contracts for professional or expert witnesses or consultants to provide services or testimony relating to existing or potential litigation or legal matters in which a public body may be interested. And this is also per ORS 279A.0252E. A new addition to our rules this year is section 50-0020, which is A&E service consultants for Public Works Department's engineering division. And this allows Public Works to enter into contracts with A&E providers who have been certified by the state of Oregon up to $100,000, and to direct appoint to contracts with A&E providers who are not on the state certified list up to $50,000. Under section 50-0200, we have some clarification language that was added. And we have added that it is under this is review for the finance department, what their role is. We have added clarification language around contracts not using and or meeting standard county indemnification language or requiring additional insurance requirements will be reviewed by legal counsel. And again, we added the same sentence only for risk management. So risk management will also review indemnification language and additional insurance requirements. We've also deleted some language out of this section because it's more of a procedure rather than a policy. And that is all that I have before you today. Do you have any questions?
Questions?
No, just what's on the internet is what we looked at management update, right?
Correct.
So all the changes that we talked about are just on this handout that we got here.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
We talked about all of it. I think we understood all of it. We had all of our questions answered there, so I don't have any new questions.
All right, then Chair Cameron, I'd make a motion, we do approve an ordinance amending the Marion County Public Contracting Rules and Marion County Code, Chapter 3.5.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Gloria's got it.
Oh,
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, this is not by emergency procedures. This will be the first reading of the ordinance, and it will come back in 2 weeks for a second reading and final adoption. So you're approving the first reading of the ordinance.
So do we move that the chair reads the ordinance by title once, right? Is that the motion?
I'll add
Right.
that. I'll add that, read by title. If that's
Right, okay.
appropriate.
So I'll second that motion.
We'll make it work somehow.
okay, the chair will read the.
We got to vote first.
Oh, the motion for the chair to read the title by only.
So,
I messed you up, but that is what it,
right, this is a motion for clarification. It's the approval of the first reading of the ordinance for amending the public contracting rules.
Okay, and the chair will read it once. We have a motion, and all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. An ordinance amending the Marion County Public Contracting Rules and Marion County Code, Chapter 3.25.
All right, now I make a motion to approve the ordinance. Not quite. Yes, you would.
I think we're done.
No,
Done. Yes.
they do not, you've already, if you've approved the first reading of it, then you wait for 2 weeks, because if there are any changes in that amount of time, we would review any significant changes before the final adoption.
Okay, so we will do a final adoption in 2 weeks, at which time I get to read it again.
Yeah, it just feels like it's kind of underwhelming when you only get to read it
We might
once,
as
but
well
that's all you get to do.
I kind of, it's a short one. I could have read it as many times as you wanted me to today.
Right.
Well,
Thanks.
it's interesting, I looked on the board's rules, and it tells you how to do it by emergency procedure, but we haven't put how to do it by regular procedure on there.
Well,
So.
your direction is appreciated. Thanks, Gloria. Okay. So we've got it done, and that's our final only action item today. Camber, thank you very much. Appreciate your service. Oh, I did have one question. How often do we do this, or is it not a cycle? Is it just as needed?
If the legislature makes changes that we need to incorporate into our rules, then we typically would make those changes. So it would be annually.
Okay.
But if there are no impact to our rules, then we typically do not edit them.
Okay.
Okay.
Driven by that legislature again.
Yep.
Okay.
Just a minor,
Thank
as
you.
she's leaving, I noted that she knows this stuff because she was quoting all these numbers without looking.
I noted she was looking at us while she was speaking.
What?
Yeah. Detail. Okay, so thank you. I'll read the calendar. Today at 2:30, we are at Capitol Community Television, CCTV taping. The location is at the CCTV office at 575 Trade Street Southeast in Salem. Tomorrow, Thursday at 9 a.m., Mid-Willamette Homeless Initiative Public Safety Subcommittee, location here in the Salem Conference Room on the first floor at 555 Court Street Northeast. I don't have to read that. I can look up. Remember the address. Tomorrow, Thursday at 10 a.m., the Mid-Willamette Homeless Initiative Support Services Education Subcommittee here in the Salem Conference Room on the first floor at 555 Court Street Northeast in Salem. And on Thursday at noon, join us for the United Way Luncheon. Location is the Salem Convention Center at 200 Commercial Street, Salem. Monday at 10 a.m., Mid-Willamette Homeless Initiative Affordable Housing and Financial Subcommittee's joint meeting, location in the Commissioner's Boardroom here on the 5th floor at 555 Court Street Northeast. Monday at noon, Mid-Willamette Homeless Initiative Focus Groups Coalition Coordination Subcommittee here in the Salem Conference Room on the first floor at 555 Court Street Northeast. And August 30th, Tuesday at 9 a.m., work session on healthcare marketing and renewal here in the Silverton Conference Room on the 5th floor at 555 Court Street Northeast. On Wednesday, August 31st at 9 a.m., we are back here for our board session in the Senate hearing room at 555 Court Street Northeast.
Technically senator, I don't know that.
Senator? Here, did I say Senate?
You did.
Try to be
But it's a
perfect
Freudian
someday.
Gosh. Try to be perfect someday. You know what? I make a mistake once in a while, about every minute. Okay, so that's the calendar, and what would you like to, besides harassing me about not being perfect, what else would you like to talk about?
Just fun things.
Okay.
So, do you feel the fall in the morning yet? Huh? That's what I was ready to describe. You see a little fog in the field. It's coming. It feels so good.
You're gonna feel it.
It's supposed to be 93 today, though. It's not quite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope I see you again. No tree stands this year, just so you know.
Just
Especially by myself.
really?
Yeah.
You don't want to fall out of them? Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know how I can get in them anymore.
Let's see. I think I already mentioned on the record we had a conference call yesterday. There was a gentleman, Sean, from Army Corps on the phone. He's like their boss of the people that were in there, and he goes, "We may not even need permits for this. They've got all this it's not a navigable water, according to the Army Corps." And I looked at Jonathan and I go, "Who is this guy?" This guy, he was really on top of it, saying, we can get this done, blah, blah, blah. So that was pretty
I guess
exciting.
state lands wouldn't show up.
State lands was there.
But that is in a federal
And now they're the
project.
ones that say we need a permit
Well,
from them.
I thought they would,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, state lands. So we had
But
James.
it's not, shouldn't be under their authority by any means.
It was interesting because Jonathan and I talked about that after the meeting, saying, feds say we could probably move forward, but state land says, no, we got to get involved. So James LeBar was on the phone, and he's going to get us an answer pretty quick, and we'll follow their permits. So anyway, it's one of those impossible dreams that may become possible. Yeah.
You mentioned this United Way thing. Disappointed. So I have a wastewater meeting instead, and I would rather be
Wastewater?
Yes, Salem Wastewater. Very interesting group.
What is that?
Well, they're setting sewer and water rates. In fact, they've been the ones hearing the pleas from Creekside. But I would rather be at your thing, just so you know. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
That's okay. I think, Commissioner, you're going to be there, aren't you?
Yep.
The United Way?
I am.
Yeah. I'll get you a personal copy of my video.
That'd be special.
I believe I am sitting with Jackie Frankie, but I can't be sure.
Okay. Well, we do have, yesterday we had our training out at United Way, and Jolene and Kenna and I and Shirley
Oh, yes.
from all went. And we've got some great ideas for.
This year's campaign.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that should go good. Yeah. Anything else?
No. We're on CCTV this afternoon talking about emergency management, right? Is that today?
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, and Ed Flick was on that call yesterday. Did you have reentry, was that an exec meeting or was that a reentry full meeting yesterday?
It was a design team meeting.
Okay.
So that's the one that is where the people from the programs get together and talk about how they can collaborate. They work on the strategic plan. We've been really focused on child support the last little while, and so Conchetta, the person that we met at the budget committee, and her staff have been attending the last couple of meetings. It's been very interesting, so learning a lot about the administrative rules around child support collection.
Okay.
Looking at ways that we can make sure that people who are going into prison file the appropriate paperwork so they don't have these large monthly child support payments accruing when they have no ability to pay. And then when they get out, they again have to file paperwork to modify according to whatever job they get. So the example they use is that they're an accountant before they go in, and they can afford $500 a month unless they do something. Every month, $500 gets added to their balance owing until they file the paperwork. And then when they get out on the 61st day, even if they filed it for prison, it bumps back up to the 500 unless they contact them and modify it and give them evidence of what their employment is. So there's a lot of places to get caught, you know what I'm saying, in terms of, and you add that on to supervision fees and past fines and, and all the other things that they have, and certainly we're all wanting for people to be good dads for the most part, who owe the child support, and to do that, but if you have no ability to pay and then you come out with tens of thousands of dollars that you can't pay, it sort of motivates people to then never pay it and go under the table and all of that, which is absolutely what we don't want. So, most of the time and our child support people say this, that when they work with the custodial parent, or the custodial parent just wants a monthly payment, and they want
that they can count on.
Right, to do the right thing, and so this is the emphasis that we're looking at.
I really enjoyed our public safety coordinating council, or community corrections meeting yesterday, and the presentation about the, I hadn't even thought about how there is no real science behind the pretrial holds, and how that could really free up some resources for where we really need them. And I thought that was really interesting, that presentation. And
Sheriff is really optimistic about how this might be a piece that's going to have a significant impact on our jail.
Yeah.
Especially when you're looking at 60 to 70% of the people in there are pretrial. If there's a different way of looking at it, and all those forced releases that we do where people are coming in at the last minute and then they are trying to figure out who to release. And I think, they've been using a risk-based tool, but I think this is going to refine it. There's a level of sophistication that they've got that's going to make it better for us, and also making sure that the options when people are not held in jail are still hold them accountable and get them to, so they show up for court, which is the big goal there.
That was good information yesterday.
Yeah, I was blown away at that McMinnville conference, because they just study after study after study, and then they showed when they implemented these new methods, and I think the woman that spoke to us first is from Kentucky, and she's kind of an expert on it and started at the beginning and really was kind of a pioneer in paving this. I mean, they took it from, the average of abscond rates is, or no-show rates, I guess, is, I can't remember what our percentage is, but, it's not tiny. I wish I could remember the percentages. I don't even want to say it. But they've gotten them down to like 2%, 1% in these jurisdictions that have implemented
without
this.
holding them in jail.
Right, yeah.
Just by deciding who and should.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So you have the right people in jail, the ones that need, either they're a danger to the community or they're an extreme flight risk or whatever. But the people that are, gonna, if you can encourage them to show up to trial and they can be safe in the community, that's an expensive place to hold them, and with the court system dragging on as it does sometimes.
And disrupting theirs and their family lives too while they're
Right.
in jail would
Right.
improvements.
So they put them under supervision of some sort?
Yeah, it's like, kind of like
Yeah.
parole and probation on the front end of
Right.
it. And also looking at hooking people up to services and things if it's related to drugs or whatever. There's just all kinds of good things that have come out of it. It was very interesting.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Are you, tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning.
All right.
Tomorrow noon. After
Have
we-
fun, be safe. We'll see you next week, probably. Okay, are we done?
See you later today.
Probably. We are adjourned.